So let's talk about the Celtics and Dallas game. I just wanted to talk about this game. Obviously, it's Kyrie's return to Boston. Kyrie, if you guys didn't know, played a season, no, well, 2 seasons at Boston. One where he was majorly injured, and the other one where his team lost. If this doesn't sound familiar, it's because it was one of the moments where Kyrie and the Celtics were going through a tough period. They had just drafted Tatum, so the Celtics looked good like they always do, but they weren't quite great, and they had some problems with continuity, with egos, and especially with Kyrie on the team and his injuries at that moment. They really believed that they could win something, but they weren't good enough to even make it past LeBron. Ultimately, they lost. It caused a lot of commotion. And now, the Celtics are really happy being the best team in the league. And the Mavericks, with Kyrie, have found a way to make it work. Now, what I want to talk about before anything is Kyrie Irving, right? And his fit in Dallas. And then I want to talk about the Celtics. So I really want to talk about the Celtics. I've been meaning to make a video on them for days now, but I just couldn't because I do believe that there were some more interesting storylines in the league. Firstly, I want to say about Kyrie and the Mavs, and more importantly, is that they look good. They went up against the Celtics, coming in being pretty hot. They're one of the teams which in their last 10 games have won 7 of them. The addition of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford has been amazing, and Kyrie as a piece for this team has actually complemented a lot since he has been able to get himself in a position where he can actually exercise his talents to the maximum degree. And the reason why I mean by that is because Kyrie is a secondary star by nature. Like, yes, he could be the first guy on your team, but he doesn't generate enough offense to be the first or the main player on any roster. That's why when we see him play, it's always good that he goes around with a Kevin Durant, with a LeBron James, with a Luka Doncic, because Kyrie is great, but Kyrie's role is to score buckets, right? And that's his job, right? He knows how to score. He's good at it, and he does it effectively with very good efficiency. Now, does this detract from him being able to be a starting point guard and just be able to be himself? No. I mean, this season he's averaging 25 points on 9 shots a game. And I mean that. He has 9 field goals a game, and he's averaging, right? Well, no. He has 9 field goals made a game. I'm sorry. He has 20 field goal attempts, but he makes 49% of his field goals, 40% of his threes, and 89% from the free throw line. Like, the dude gets his possessions, and he just takes them and runs with them. In this Boston game, he wasn't as good as he's been all season. He had a pretty down game, but he still scored 19 points, and that was about it. So when we look at Dallas right now, they look pretty good. They look really good. They look like a team that can actually do something. They have defense. They have Daniel Jones Jr., not Derek Jones Jr., I'm sorry. They have Josh Green. They have Derek Lively. They have PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford. They have Tim Hardaway Jr., they have Maxi Kleber, and it's just a team which, as soon as Jason Kidd is able to run most lineups and see what really, really, really works as opposed to what doesn't, I do believe that the Mavericks are going to be great. Now, before I go and talk about the Celtics, we also have to say that the Mavericks are Luka, and that's the main reason why they're so good. Luka's a generational talent. Yes, the team is actually good, but Luka just adds a dynamic to that team which is not seen by most stars in NBA history that are not maybe prime LeBron, Chris Paul, or maybe even Steve Nash, if you want to say that, in their primes, right? Where you could affect an offense so much that the offense is basically nothing when you're on the court. Now, let's talk about the Celtics. The Celtics are the best team in the league, and I don't even think it's close. I don't know if they're gonna win the championship because they have clutch, problems. But I actually do think that this is their year. The reason why is because the Celtics sit at number one in the NBA. They sit 5 wins above the Timberwolves, and they have 6 less losses. Hear what I just said again. They have 5 more wins than the second best team in the NBA, and they have 6 less losses. They have just been the team to beat. They've won 10 straight games. They win a lot of their home games. Have only lost 3 this season. They win a lot of their away games. Have only lost 9 this season. And in their conference, and just playing their conference, they've only lost 6 games to the Eastern Conference this entire season. 6 games. If that continues to that level, then when they get to the playoffs, they're going to sweep the East. Not sweep it like they're going to go 4-0 in each round. I mean, like, they're just going to beat everybody. Also, that if it shapes up how it's looking, they're going to have to play the Pacers in the first round. And yeah, the Pacers are a tough team, which could take a game or two. But come on, let's be honest. The Pacers are getting, the Pacers are getting. I think I already spoken of. The Pacers are definitely suffering if they face the Celtics. Then their secondary matchup would probably be one of the tougher teams, a 76ers, a Bucks, a Cavaliers. Not a Cavaliers, a 76ers, a Bucks, a Knicks, maybe a Magic, or a Heat. And now, if it's the Heat, then that's really their biggest competitor. We know that the Heat cannot just get out of their mind the Celtics. They literally play the season just to beat the Celtics. Now, I do think that the Celtics have now actually made a team which goes above and beyond what the Heat have beat before. But it wouldn't surprise me if that series goes to 6 games, knowing how good Eric Spoelstra is as a coach and Jimmy Butler is as a playoff performer. But also, I could be really wrong on that. Now, then they would probably have to face one of the tougher teams. I don't know who makes it to the conference finals this year. I think New York, Milwaukee, or the 76ers are going to be there. But I do believe that with Joel's injury, it's going to take him a few games to get back up to speed. So I will say that they're probably not going to be in the conference finals. I don't know if this is Joel's season to get out of it, but his return, is in approximately 4 weeks, and that was set in February 6th. So that means that he should be coming back about in 4 games. And if he can do that, then I think he gets himself, into a role where he would probably be able to play in the playoffs, fully warmed up and fully effective. That's if he's not rushing his cup. Finally, with the Bucks and the Knicks, I think that the Knicks are a great team, very clutch, but I do not think that they could beat those Celtics. I think that they could put up a matchup because they have great defense and they have great players. And I think that Jalen Brunson by himself could win you a few playoff games, but I don't think that they're going to beat those Celtics. And the Bucks, they can, as long as Dame does his thing. And I really wanted to talk about this as well. The Bucks and the Celtics are my Eastern Conference Finals matchup. I do think it's going to be both of them. Or maybe if it's not both of them, then that's going to be the 2 teams which decide which team goes to the finals. Because the Bucks, apart from having won their last 5 straight, I do also want to say that the Bucks have a tendency of winning every single game where Damian Lillard shoots over 50% from the field. Now, I know that I made a video the other day on Dame not being happy, on Dame not being this, on the problems in Milwaukee. But Dame, when he shoots effectively, the Bucks are winning. And they're winning a lot. So in my opinion, Dame needs to get his stuff straight. He's been shooting 42% from the field and 34% from 3. And I do really think that if the Bucks can get their efficiency up to get Dame some better looks, make him more effective, then I do think that they would pose the hardest threat to the Celtics in the East. Now, if the Celtics actually do win the championship, I will congratulate them. They've done the best team building in NBA that we've seen. And of course, I'm speaking on all of these teams barring injury. The only team which I did mention an injury was the 76ers, but that's because that injury already happened. I'm not betting on a team in the last 2 weeks of the season getting their star injured. I don't want that to happen. That's toxic. So, yeah. Uh,